If you're in here, I see there's a few people waiting. So exciting. I love that. I'm running a little bit behind today, you guys. I have just been having a morning, that nothing that I started finished when it was supposed to. I'm still not seeing the iPad live. What's going on here? Why is it not live? There it goes. Okay. A little bit of delay as always there, but that's okay. Yeah, I hope you guys all had like an amazing Thanksgiving weekend. I have a handful of rocks here. I'm going to be completely honest, like up until this exact moment, I'm still not 100% sure which one what I'm going to do here. I've got a couple of doodles like normal that I have off to the side here that I'm kind of going to be operating off of, but I definitely am just going to kind of go as I am. And I did find out last week that I can zoom in from up high here. Ooh, if I tap the screen, I believe I was able to zoom in last time. Hold on. Now the comments are on the screen, so that's in my way. There we go. There we go. A little bit closer there. So I've got two designs that we're going to do today. One's a word rock and one is kind of like a design style. I painted this first rock so long ago. It has been on my desk for like literally, I think it's moved with me. I think I painted it the first time in Colorado. And it's very kind of a simple design, but I really like the way it looks. I've looked at it year after year, and I've never actually done a tutorial for it. So it's a pretty simple design. And then we're going to do a word rock, and I'm going to show you my word rock doodles. So here's our little Christmas tree design. And it's kind of this fun pattern, but the way that I did it was very easy to like replicate. So I really like how it turned out. So we're going to do at least one of those. And then I was doodling around ideas for doing a joy rock. And now these are kind of sloppy. You guys know my doodles can be a little bit sloppy. I'm just trying to get the idea out of my mind. And I had this idea of kind of like either doing them with a singular color where the white on, like with the white in the back, white on top and underneath, or doing it like a two-tone like this. That one's really sloppy. I kind of smudged a little bit there because I was running out of dry time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of these rocks green, and we're going to just kind of go from there. If you're joining in live, if you want to say hi, if you're comfortable, the area-ish you're kind of watching from, welcome in, Diane. Hey, Janet. I'm glad you guys made it in. So I'm just going to start with that. We have, and thanks for giving the thumbs up when you stopped in first. That helps, I think, get the live out to more people. So I'm going to take one of these more narrow stones. Well, I want to at least have a couple strips. Maybe I'll actually take this one so I can do them a little bit thicker. I love a good pattern. I mean, I've done a lot of patterns in the past. Miami, awesome. I used to live in Hollywood, Florida. One of our homes over the years was in Hollywood. My husband worked in Miami. All right, so I'm just gonna like literally because if you guys got acrylic paint available and a brush, that would be 10 times faster than what I'm gonna do here, but I'm telling you guys, I was like literally hustling just to get you guys up overhead and get the button pushed on time to paint with you guys today. The kids ended up with a snow day today. So everybody's home, which was fine, but I slept in a little later than normal. And so my day started late, and then it's just one of those days that a lot of things just didn't go completely as planned. So yes, Hollywood's very close, right on the beach there, just a little bit north. It's a cute little beach town. We really enjoyed a lot of the little shops and restaurants in downtown Hollywood. They had a really cute dessert place. I don't know if it's still there. We haven't lived there for like 10 years, so. But it's called Chocolata. And they had live music and desserts and coffee. really neat place. Okay, so I'm just adding a base on here. Green cover's pretty good. I always, sometimes you can see your like, brush strokes or pen strokes when it's wet. And then when it dries, sometimes it's a little bit better. So we're just going to get that on there. It's a slightly different shade of green. This is the Posca green, and this one's the Tuliart green. So you can use what you got, as long as it's a kind of a piney kind of colored green. This one has a little bit more of a blue hue to it. All right, for our Joy Rocks. So I think I'm just going to do a variation of them all, and we'll just kind of decide which one we like. Hasn't changed much in 10 years. Pompano. Should I say that 5 times fast? Pompano, where's Pompano? I don't even know where that is. You don't have to be specific. I don't like people to feel like they have to be too specific. Okay, so for the Joy Rocks, so I think I want to do one with kind of the white background. So we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to take, again, if you've got white acrylic paint, it will probably dry pretty quick. Just do a nice thin layer. North of Hollywood. Oh, okay. I probably drove around. It's been so long. That was right after I had my daughter, so I didn't explore as much as I probably would have if they were a little bit older. But that's pretty cool that you guys are both in Florida. Out of, we got 6 people here and 2 of you are from Florida. It's kind of ironic. Let's do this one. So I'm just going to do this one white. Again, if you've got acrylic and a brush, do thin layers. They dry fast. You can get a second layer on there. We're going to do this one totally white. We're going to do red lettering on this one. And then I want to do one half and half. What do you guys think? Do you think I should do half and half two-tone colors, or half and half white and red, or white and green or something? What do you guys think? I'm going to put these up here where I do this one white. What do you guys think? We like the white and one color pop, or do we want to do like a super traditional red and green? Your weather is awesome today. Well, we're having a snow day. We're probably exact opposite of what's going on down there. It's beautiful though. I mean, I'm not going to complain. It's a very pretty snow, that nice fluffy snow, covered everything. Good blanket. And as you can see, I'm just giving myself like a slight border just so I don't have like a rough edge. Just kind of, usually I'll take my pinky and kind of use it as a guide and kind of go along the edge of the stone. And you'll kind of get an inlay of the shape of your stone on there if you do that. So that's why, so from overhead, you've got a little bit of an edge. So we're just going to get that on there, that it has time to dry. Okay. So I think I want to let's do one. I like the red and green. It looks kind of funny with the teal background because of my Post-it, kind of messed with the coloring a little bit, but we'll do one red and green. We'll start with that. And maybe that's all we'll do. Maybe we'll just do 3 of the word ones. We'll stick that last one out of here for now. Okay, so we're gonna do half and half. So I'm gonna decide which way I want this to go. So we'll do right about there, maybe. And again, you guys, I'm using the paint pens. That's what I have out. I didn't have time to get out acrylics and brushes and water and everything. I would have been late. But the lettering on these are going to be like block letters. So there are letters you could definitely do with a brush if you have a paintbrush. And then some of the designs you could do maybe with like dotting tools if you don't have paint pens. Or even like toothpicks if you got toothpicks around. Well, we're not going to have much natural rock left over today, Janet. Today we're kind of covering them up quite a bit. But that's okay. A lot of times I leave the natural rock behind on designs, but today we're just gonna kind of having fun with some some Christmas words. Somebody in the rock painting, either on the page in the tutorials group or on the rock painting page, had done like a monogram letter, and it kind of sparked what I was thinking for these letterings. I kind of just like that overlay of color on the white and vice versa. Get that down in that hole a little bit. So we'll see how this red, we're gonna need another coat of this red, maybe even two. Look how much better the green. It's so funny to me how different colors have different pigmentation. And it's not just this brand, it's across all brands. Red has a tough time, yellow can have a tough time, but that's the same if you've got acrylic paint and a brush too. You often will need more than one coat to get it to cover really well. Okay, so that's on there. This green is looking pretty good over here with just that single coat, but see how it looks nice and flat now before you could see kind of the stroke lines and things when it was wet, but now that it's dry, you really can't see that on there. So I don't think that that's gonna need a second coat at all. Obviously the white is, but it's still wet. You do not wanna do the second coat when you can still see that wetness to it. It should be completely matte or flat looking before you do a second coat. If it looks glossy at all, that means there's still the moisture in there. These paint pens don't look glossy until you put that final coat on them at the end. I think this one has a satin, it's got something on there, a light finish on it. So we're gonna let these ones go, and I'm gonna keep an eye on them while we work on this Christmas tree design so that we can get our second coats on those without the, you know, because the second coat's gonna have to dry before we can keep continuing on with those designs as well. So on this stone, I'm gonna grab my extra fine tip paint pen, and I'm gonna use my Post-its. You guys know I like to use my Post-its as like a ruler when I'm doing rocks. So we're just gonna create stripes. Now I wanna make my stripes wide enough that my trees can fit in there. And then I am gonna grab, I have a bigger paint pen to fill in the black areas, but I'm gonna just make these nice and wide. I want one row of trees to be kind of right up the middle. I'll probably give this a nice crisp black outline when it's all finished. But once you have your first line on here, you can kind of use that as a ruler for you. Yes, you can definitely put white down first and then do your color on top to save yourself from having to do multiple coats of color on top. Or work on just like a lighter rock. You know, I just didn't have any bigger light rocks, and I wanted you guys to be able to see some of these details. So I just pulled this off screen here so I could just, sometimes when you do this right here will leave behind a little bit of paint, and you don't want to stamp it on your rock accidentally. So I'm going to flip my rock the other way so I can really visually see how tall I'm going to make this. So we're going to go about like that. I'm just eyeballing this to try to line these lines up as straight as possible. And then we'll add our stripe like that. And then again, I'm just kind of going like this just to get any excess paint off. I don't want to stamp. I'm going to come down here, even though just kind of visualize where it's going to be. You could probably stagger these and make some of the rows thicker and thinner if you wanted to. I think I'm going to actually have one more. It will be kind of right here at the tip top. Like that. Okay, that row's a little bit thinner, but that's okay. And then once I've got this on, I'm going to just kind of create my triangles. It's going to look like a zigzag. So I want one right in the middle on this guy, and you can make them tall, skinny. You can mix and match the shapes of them if you want to. This is one of those definitely like I'm just going to show you how I do it, and you can take it from there however you want. So I'm just going to create a triangle right in the middle here, and then we're going to just continue those triangles all the way out to the edge, and then just kind of have them fall off of the design basically. And I'm going to turn this around. I like working towards my right, just like when you're writing. There we go. And then you can also decide, like on this one, I stacked them vertically, but you can stagger them if you want to. And I think I'm actually going to do that on this one. So if you're going to stagger them, you would continue your lines, and then it will be more like a checkerboard, which actually I don't think I want to do now that I'm looking at it. I think that will get it. Yeah, I'm taking that back. I'm not doing that. You could give it a try if you want. I'm going to go right on top. So I'm just going to go right on top of this one. Off the edge. Same on this side. Okay, and then one below this guy. Back the other way. And we are going to even do it on this bottom row. Even though you can barely see it, there will be some that kind of exist there. Same with the very top. You can see I have these tiniest little bits here. And just when you're doing patterns and things like that, just those tiny little things, sometimes you might not see it when it's all done, but you might as well get in there and add those just in case they end up peeking out of the design. Okay, so we got those in there. So now we're just going to fill things in, and I'm going to get my bigger black paint pen here to help fill in once I get the center areas, or maybe I'll do those first. So you got to decide. I can't remember, I flipped it so many ways. So this is up, this is down, or is this up and this is down? So just whatever you want to do. And then you're going to pick and put in your little X's. So this is the way we're going. That means this is tree, this is empty space. So I like to kind of go through so I don't get myself confused. We're just going to make little X's everywhere we're going to fill in so that I don't, sometimes when I start spinning my design and things like that, I can get myself confused. So this is just helpful for me. So see here, I did not do that. So this is black. And this is black, but those would stay green, okay? So now we're gonna come back, and I'm just gonna use my bigger tip to fill in the bigger spaces, and then I can come back in with my extra fine tip into those points. I need to shake that up. It just looked a little thin. If you ever, even black, even though it covers really well, sometimes it will look just a smidge thin. And that just means you need to shake up your paint pen. Like just because it's going down doesn't mean it's covering well. So I'm just kind of working my way into these spaces. And then I'll come back with the extra fine tip. I just don't like to use all of my brand new, I've got a nice crisp brand new extra fine tip I'm working with, and I don't want to use that all up to fill in these big spaces. So we're just going to fill these in a little ways and then come back. And once I get this first bit filled in, I'm going to do, I think, a second coat over here on these other ones. Hope I missed the X over here. Okay. Like that. Okay. So now we've got our general layout there. All right. And then let's go see here. Let's get these ones that need that second coat. Now, when we're doing second coats, I know we talk about this all the time, but sometimes I get new people in the videos that haven't been here before. So for people that have been here, I repeat myself sometimes. When we're doing a second coat, we only try to touch each place one time, and we're trying to lay that paint on top. So first, make sure your paint pen's flowing. You shouldn't have to press hard. You should barely be touching, and we're just gonna go over each area kind of one time and lay that paint on top because, I mean, we're painting these live. So this first coat was painted, if you weren't here, just, within, 18 minutes. So we're just going right on top. But if you put wet paint right on top of that paint that hasn't really cured completely, it can get it loose again. So that's why we're only trying to touch each space once. And again, your paint needs to be flowing. You shouldn't have to press down hard to get your paint onto your rock. If it feels like you're pressing hard to do it, come off to the side, give it a couple wiggles, make sure you shake it up really good. You can give it a pulse. Whatever you need to do just to make sure that that paint is flowing. And then we're just putting it right on top to give us that second coat. Paint. And then I'm just going to turn it around to get this part. And this goes, if you're doing a second coat of acrylic with a paintbrush, just try to give that first layer time to dry. But that's why if you know you're going to need a second coat, I tend to do that first coat really nice and thin. It helps it dry faster. You don't have to worry about, because if you have the big streaks with a paintbrush, you'll get like these little ribbon-like lines, and those take a lot longer to dry. So when you come back with your second coat, you'll be brushing it on and you'll pull up that bubble of paint, and it's so frustrating. All right, bye, Diana. Thanks for popping in. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here on this red side of this rock because the green looks great. The green's going to be just fine. So again, we're shake, 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 shake. Make sure your red's flowing really well. And then you can kind of doodle, give it a pulse, doodle. If it's coming out without having to press hard, you're good to go. So we're going to do each area just one time. And then we'll get back to our trees on the other side here. I just wanted to get this down because we're going to write lettering on top of this as well. So we want to make sure it has time to dry. And again, don't mind my sloppy doodles, you guys. My doodles are never meant to be replicated. They're more just to get the idea that I'm thinking out of my mind so I don't forget. Because sometimes I'll be just sitting, I'm like, oh, hey. I can't get distracted and draw a masterpiece in the middle of the day. All right. Those ones are good. Set those to the side again. All right, back in here with these, we're going to take our extra fine tip. We're going to take our time and we're going to fill in all these black spaces. And again, if you're in here live, sometimes these lives can get a little bit long. I always come back and turn these into the shortened videos over on Facebook, sometimes here on YouTube. Obviously, you can come back and watch the replays as well. I'm going to use this so that we can get all the way into the points. I have to say, even though I'm using my dual tips, I like my extra fine tip from Posca. I feel like the paint comes out a little bit slower, and so it stays nice and thin for me. So again, I'm just going to take my time. I want to keep these nice and crisp edges, so I don't want to blow over the edge. Now, if you do, since we are using paint pens, give the black plenty of time to dry first, but you could come back with your green and easily touch something up if you go over your line really far or hard. Also, we are going to have our lights go a little bit. They're going to splash a little bit over the edge, so you could do some cleaning up that way as well. This is actually the first Christmas rock that I've painted this year. Yeah, I don't know how many we're gonna get to. I've got so many already on the page. And while sure, there's endless things to do, we have so many other people that are creating tutorials these days. I've got a few people in our rock painting tutorials group that are just, they're very inspired, fresh painters that are just, they're having a good time painting a lot of designs. So if you need some new, fresh ideas, if you've done everything on our page, make sure you're a member of the Rock Painting Tutorials group over on Facebook, because it's a group that we are the admin for. Our Rock Painting 101 is the admin, so I share things in there as well. But other artists can share their tutorials, not just designs, they have to be tutorials, either step-by-step pictures or videos. So if you're looking for even more inspiration, that group is a great place. I can only do so many, and just, I know we've been talking about it a little bit on the live, but the online world is definitely changing a lot, and it's adjusting how much time I can actually spend creating content. I can't dedicate as much time to it as I was in the past, just because the way that we make money online has changed so much, and unfortunately that just means I've got to prioritize some other things so that for our family. Anyways, I still enjoy doing it. I'll still be on here, but the online atmosphere is quite a different place these days. Still really like how YouTube has this set up, so all the lives will always be run through YouTube. I tried going on different platforms. YouTube is helping. They're adding the features, like they have the tipping feature and things like that. So those little things help. That way we can, keep buying rocks and pens, and even just the time involved, because we spend the hour painting, but that's just the beginning, of what we do with the film once I'm done. Lots of editing time and images and getting things on schedules, things like that. All right, I'm trying not to rush here. If you paint with me live, I have a hard time with that sometimes. It's like I just want to finish this part, or take our time so it looks nice. That's why I'm only painting one of each rock a lot now on these lives, because then it's like I could take my time, trying to keep these to around an hour. So it's a little bit more you can plan for it a little bit better. So I think we're going to stick with every other Tuesday through the holiday season here. So we won't be live next week, but the week after that. And that kind of actually works really well with the holiday season, that I won't be on like the week of Christmas. I don't think. I think that spaces it out to what, today's the 2nd. So that will mean, right? Today's the 2nd? Yeah. So then the next time we're on will be the 16th. And then the time after that will be next year, believe it or not. That's just crazy to think. All right. And let's see here. Let's go. Just kind of create that edge. And I am going to go along the whole outline with the black, but we'll wait and do that. I'll probably use the thicker end to do that when we're done, because that will help kind of clean up any of the other edges. Okay, one more over here. And this looks like it would actually maybe have a little tip of green there, maybe. We'll see. When I do my outline, that might go away. Okay, so once we've got all of our black on here, the next step to this pattern is to add our strings for our lights. So I was very loose with these. I was not focusing really hard on them being like perfectly the same on every tree or anything like that. So I turn my rock to the side slightly so that I can kind of arch downward. These ones up here, if you want to try to sneak a string of lights onto those, you can. They may show up. It just depends on when we do our outlines. I did do about 3 strings per tree. I did try to kind of stay consistent on that. So 1, 2, 3. Just light wispy. Try not to push too much pressure. That's how you're going to keep it nice and thin. Okay. Oh, I went over the edge there. I guess it doesn't matter. We're going to outline there. And maybe have one here. 1, 2, 3. And 3. Got the top one on those. Okay, now I'm gonna let that dry a little bit because I do like the lights to kind of go just slightly outside, and I don't want to pull any black into my lights. We want them to stay light and bright. So let's move this guy to the side for now. Let's keep working on our joy rocks here. So we've got 2 different, I don't even have the doodle for this one. Okay, so we're gonna do basically this rock and kind of something like this. Do we want to do red or green? Anybody in here? I'll start with this one. Let me know for this secondary one on the white. Do we want to do green and white or red and white? So either drop a red heart, green heart, type in red, type in green. If you don't make a decision, by the time I'm done with this one, I will make an executive decision on it. So we're going to take and we're going to write the word joy, and we want it to kind of split around halfway on our rock. And we do want to make the letters big enough that you can see we can add some designs inside. They were kind of scrunched in on this because I was just doing it kind of quickly, but we do have extra fine tip at the other end that we can use to make the designs. So they can get pretty tiny details, but the more space you have to work with, the better. We're going red. First answer. All right, red it is. So we're gonna go ahead and write the letters on here. I'm gonna use the extra fine tip sign to just kind of jot a singular line of the letter. This is how I like to do things first for spacing purposes. So we're just gonna use the extra fine tip, make sure it's flowing well. I'm gonna start with the O in the middle because I wanna make these letters basically fill most of the space. So we're gonna start with the O in the middle. We're gonna go right on top like that. And then we're gonna do our Y over here. This is gonna almost be a V. I'm gonna leave it open just a smidge because when we make it thicker, it will fill the space. And then we're gonna do our J. We're gonna make our line here. We're gonna go straight down like that. Okay. Then I'm going to come back with my extra fine tip on the red side, and we'll put down the bottom half of the letters. Okay, and then once you have your letters on there, then you can come back and thicken them up, make them a little bit wider. You could use the thicker end of a paint pen, or you can stick with the thin side, whatever works for you. I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to thicken them up, and I mean thicken them up. So we're going to kind of go here and almost kind of give a T top to each of these, and then I'm going to widen these out. Like that. So we want to make them wide enough to get these designs inside. So So really kind of the more space, the better, as long as you can still, visually you're going to have, you have to have the center of your O. And style of letters, that's totally up to you, whatever you want to do, whatever you think is going to work. This is definitely going to need a second coat on top of this green. But if you're not sure how big you want to get, you can always make them bigger. You can't make them smaller. So just kind of start by getting it a little bit wider. And then once you get it on there, you can kind of decide, maybe when you're coming back with your second coat, if you want it a little bit wider, or you can make it a little bit wider. Or once all three letters are on there, sometimes you can kind of tell. So see, it kind of looks kind of silly right now, doesn't it? I am going to let this dry just a little bit before I go back and do the tops, because I don't want any of that red and green to actually blend at the center at all. I want it to be a nice crisp line at the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and write Joy on this rock while I wait for that to dry. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to write this on here first in a singular line. Now with this one, I do want to leave a little bit of space, because this one, the pattern is going on the letter and off the letter. So you do want to leave a little bit of space where like you can have like a little sprig come off to the side of the O in one direction or the other. Like the J can go off to the front, the Y can go off to the back, but you do want to leave a little bit of space somewhere on that O where you can have some of the flowery design, or whatever you want to call this, on the letter and some of it off the letter. So just keep that in mind when you're filling in, so that you have the space afterwards to do that. I'm just going to come back and make these wider. And again, do your lettering how you like your lettering. I had somebody in one of our last videos, they didn't like the way I did my Y with the curl. I'm like, well, then you can make your Y without a curl. You don't have to follow my very specific down to structure of letters. There's so many ways that you can kind of take these and just run with these designs to your heart's desire. You could do this with any word that you want as well. Like you could do these with any word. Joy's nice because it's 3 letters. Obviously we're in the holiday season, so it works well. All right, so I was talking about the sprigs or whatever we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna have it kind of curl right here. So I'm not worried about the O, like the J getting too close, but I'm just gonna thicken up that downward stroke and then kind of decide. But see how well that white or the red goes on the white. Somebody had mentioned that before. If you base coat your rocks white first, you can get away with 1 coat a lot of the time, because the red really pops on the white. All right. I think we're wide enough to get our sprigs in there. You know what? I'm going to do just a little bit more. And that's why I said, you could always make it wider. Or you could pick sections to make wider where your design is. Like you could have that bulky part of the J a little bit wider. You could make kind of the bottom of your Y a little bit fatter if you want to, if you're going to try to get that design there. Drop it down a little lower here. Hey, Brenda. Welcome in. All right, so while that's drying, let's get the top of our letters on this one. It looks so funny to me with the skinny coming out of the top of the fat letters. And then looks like our trees over here are pretty close to drying in the black area. So we can get our lights on there. And those ones are done once you get the lights on. They're so simple, but they look so cute. And I don't know why I never got around to doing those. Now I am going to start with my extra fine tip side here just to get the line right here, even where it connects. So I'm just almost going to kind of like give myself an outline here. At the bottom of my letters. So I really want to have that line be really crisp between the two letters, where it kind of flips across. Okay, so now I can fill that in with the thicker side. Of course, the green just goes on so nice. Wish the red would do that, but so see, we got that split right across. And of course, we're gonna have to come back and do a second coat on the red there. It's pretty close to being ready for the second coat. So we'll bounce back over there in a moment. Okay. Once we have the letter on, you can really see where your, I don't want to say mistakes are, but like where you need to do some modification, where you need some zhuzh. So like right here, the J right there, I kind of got this weird like kind of lump going on here. So I'll be able to fix that though when I come back with my red. And also since we're doing these two-tone, I can come back with my green and with the extra fine tip and kind of get rid of that bump out. So see how we have that bump? I'm going to bring you a little bit close. I can just come back with the green and nudge that back over just like that. See how quickly that fixed that problem. So since we're working not directly on the rock, that does give us a little bit of ways that we can kind of fix our design. So once we get this all on, we're going to actually do this at the end. We're going to go along, especially where the colors flip, because we want that to be like a nice crisp edge. And that's what we're going to do at the end to make sure everything kind of comes together. So I'm going to get my second coat of the red on here so that has time to dry so we can do our designs on top. And then we're going to go finish up these Christmas trees over here. So I'm just going to use the, I don't know, the extra fine tip side here so it can be controlled. And again, we're just doing each area one time if possible here, just to lay that paint on top. That second coat on there. Okay. Get all the way up to that seam line there. You can always come back with the green. So you might figure out which color is better at coverage. The green obviously is here. So if you're gonna go over the edge, do it in the manner with the red so you can cover with green later because the green's easily gonna be able to touch it up. And the opposite would be like red is easily going to cover white up on this. It's going to be harder to put white on top of red. So just bring that all the way to that line. And I'm just kind of avoiding that hole. I mean, it ended up right in the middle of my letter. I can kind of get my pen in there just to kind of do that if I want to, but I'm not overly concerned. Okay, here we go. Kind of looks cool just like that, but we're going to add a little bit of designs on top of it to make it a little bit more fancy for the holidays. So these two we're setting to the side for now. Let those dry. Let's add our ornaments on here. Now for the ornaments, you can do whatever colors you want. I am obviously going to have red, maybe yellow, red, yellow, should do blue. Classic ornament colors. And I know they put green ones on there too, but so make sure these are all shook up here. I mean, they could be. No, I'm not doing white. I want some pops color. Okay, so for these, we're not putting them to cover the line. Like you want to leave a little bit of that line exposed. So you're kind of going along the bottom of it. And as you can see though, I do like imagine where the line would go just off the edge, because that way those lights, they can kind of go just past or kind of on the green line a little bit, or the green black line. You see that? We're going all the way to the edge like that. So we're taking extra fine tip. If you do not have extra fine tip paint pens, you can use dotting tools and paint, or even you can use a toothpick with some paint on it as well. So I've got 3 colors, so I'm going to keep that in mind, and I'm just going to kind of dot them as if I'm going to come back with 2 dots in between everywhere. So we'll start, I'll do one tree all the way through, and then I'll pull it a little closer for you. I do have you guys zoomed in today a little bit, so you should sort of see. So I'm going to start right here. 1, should be able to fit 3 colors at the top there. So then we're going to go boom, 1, 2, boom, 1, 2, boom. And I don't want the same ones on the edge all the time. So see, you can kind of alternate them, but see how those just tiny little lights. Okay. Again, you don't want all of them starting and ending with the same colors. So kind of keep that in mind when you're putting your dots down to kind of spread out your red. And they can go all the way off the edge there from time to time. And don't forget these ones off to the side here. You may or may not see them when you get to the lining, but in case you do. Okay, just gonna flip this upside down here. Now, if you flip it upside down, make sure you still are putting them down on the bottom of the lights. All right, let me get some up here. All right, so we got our red ones on. You could do just red. Pick whatever color combination screams Christmas to you. You could do red and white. if you wanted to do red and white dots. Now I'm just going to come back in and I'm going to do yellow. Basically after each red. And then if I have some extra space, like obviously it could wrap around and be on the other side of the red, but I'm just going to the right of each red. This is when you realize you need reading glasses. And again, some of these are not going to be in the same order, and that's okay. It just helps you try to at least get about the same amount of dots if you kind of try to follow a color. Okay, and then we're going to come back with our blue. I'll hold it up so you guys can see, but see how we're kind of going just a little bit over our edges from time to time? I just think that makes it look so cute. My blue seems a little... That's coming out really fast. So sometimes if it seems like it's coming out fast to me, I just kind of like take my cloth or whatever, and I also make sure to kind of, we call it burping paint pens when you get brand new ones. Sometimes air can build up in there. Okay, so I'm just going to start on this tree and just fill in everywhere left that I can find with the blue. Oh my gosh, these are so cute. I'll pull this up once I get a few more. So simple. But when you see it done, it just has such a festive look to it. Make sure we get all of our trees here. And then once we get all of them, you can kind of come back if they're, you need one more light coming off to the side somewhere. You might have got out of order. Like right here, this one, it needs another light. But once you get all three colors on here, you can decide what light makes sense to be there. Okay. Like I said, I don't really care too much if they get a little bit out of order, because I mean, they're wrapping around the tree. Who knows what color they would be when they get to the other side. So once you get all your lights on there, like if you want to peek back at it and say, all right, this spot needs just a little bit more. Let's see, I'll find a spot here that needs just a little bit more lights. Like right here, there should be maybe another light in there. And since it's in between red and blue, we're gonna go with yellow, even if it's not the same order. I don't really care that much. It just needs one more light there. Here on this one, The blue is in a ways. It looks like there should be room for one more over there. So we're going to go with yellow because that's what we have in our hand. Let's see here. Where else do we need any more lights? Up here. See this one up here? How the blue is in a ways. It looks like there's definitely room for one more light. It's funny because yellow is what I would put there even if I didn't have that open. This guy over here. There's a lump there, so it didn't go on right away. And let's get one in here. Okay. Okay. Very cool. All that needs is a crisp outline. We're going to wait until these dry a little bit in case any of the lights are on the edge there. But isn't that fun? Oh my gosh, I love how that looks. Are you guys doing this one live? I know a couple of you are painting along. Let me know how that's going for you. All right, so now on these designs, the idea is just to kind of do like sprigs of like the filler type stuff that you get in flowers. And you're doing a cluster and whatever's on the letter will be white and whatever's off the letter will be red. So you can decide whichever color you would like to do first. I'm going to do the red first on this one because I think you'll be able to kind of see what I mean. Or maybe we'll do each letter at a time. So off of the joy here, I'm just going to add this fun little sprig. So you're going to add your stripes wherever you want it to go. It can be as curly or as straight as you want. And then I'm just going on either side of it and dashing it down to it. I'm slow. It's like a mandala. Yes, take your time. Absolutely. I'm glad you're giving it a go. So once you got your stripe on here, we're gonna make stripes back towards our line in either direction, just like that. All right, and if you want to have more than one, you can have maybe a second one coming off to the side here. You can curl. I'm going to stick with one. I don't want it to get too muddy and I don't want it to be too difficult for you guys to do. So we're going to do another one coming off the O here. So I'm going to follow the curve of the O and then kind of come into the O. And then just where you feel it, like you can add a couple little sprigs just like that. And then the joy, I'm going to follow the edge of the J, but just bring it off to the side. Make sure you leave this separation. You want that white in between your designs. You could also do some of this stuff coming off the top if you wanted to, but I'm going to keep these, like I said, I want to keep these kind of simple. I don't want them to become too complicated. You know, we're 101 here. And I feel like this needs an edge. So why I have this out, I'm going to kind of just come along this edge with my red. And I'm going to do kind of a sketchy style line, just a little hash at a time. Because if I try to make it perfect, when it's imperfect, it will drive me nuts. If I try to do this cute little hashy line, it's going to look good right away. Okay, just like that. It just kind of gives it a little bit more of a finished look when it's done. All right, so we're going to let that one go. Now, the way I did it on this joy is I didn't have anything coming off of the letters. I just had the design right down the center of our letters. So I'm going to kind of give this a quick peek. That red looks like it could use a little bit more thickness in a couple areas. I really hate to have to do another coat just because I'm close to wrapping this up. So, I think we are gonna have to we're gonna have to add that coat. I think I'll just do it real quick and we'll finish this joy and hopefully it will dry quickly for us. I can bust out the blow dryer if I need. So I'm gonna go right here, especially where the two colors meet up, because that's where our little sprig of greenery is gonna be. There we go. we're just going to go ahead and take care of it. If I've got a blow dry, I'll move it a little further away from the camera so that you guys don't have to listen to it. Okay, there we go. All right, we'll let that dry. Oh no. Janet says she had a gusher that I think sometimes with your paint pens, if you have, was it on your rack? Was it off to the side? That's why I always kind of keep my doodle on the side there. And I actually burp my pens from time to time, even if I don't travel with them. If I haven't used them for a little bit, I'll take it and kind of give it a little up to the air pulse every once in a while. Just let any extra air out. So now for this area, yeah, push too hard. Yeah, you never want to actually pulse your pen on your rock. You only do that on the paper. So now we're going to follow the same design on the red with our white. Now I'm going to have the white come from the white. We're going to do the exact same thing. So make sure you've given yourself space to either side so that you can add your little designs. But how cute is that? Again, these are simple but pretty. This is what I'm going for here. So create whatever kind of curl or design you want. You kind of want them coming from the same space is what I'm kind of going for. So it looks like it's kind of from the same sprig. It's just flipping. When it's on top of the red, it will be white. And when it's on top of the white, it is red. Like that. And we'll do one more here on our J. Again, see it's kind of coming from the same space. You can pull it all the way to the white. Now, if you're not comfortable doing the sprigs like this, you could also just do some dot, like a dot design of some sort where you have some white dots on the red and some red dots on the white. Just how pretty. And I don't want to do too much here. I think I'm just leaving it like that. I think it looks beautiful. What do we think? Do we like this how it is? I think I'm leaving it how it is. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes you can get carried away. You start adding too much stuff. Stuff starts getting muddy. Gives you more chances to make a mistake. Oh, good. I'm glad your flooding happened in the black. That's all. The easiest place to fix. All right, I'm going to hit this with my blow dryer. I'm going to pull it kind of off to the side here just so we can finish this one up. Now, if you ever blow dry your rocks, I always do this on the cool, like my blow dryer has the one where you can like hold the button so it's cool air. I highly suggest that. I don't know if the hot air is really great on it. So I usually hold that button so it's just blowing cool or room temperature air, not necessarily cool air, but not hot air. Now that I'm looking at this, I am seeing like my red might need a little bit more red. I may go back in and just do like a second layer, like kind of around my green. I'm not doing that now. Maybe I'll do it at the end really quick, but as you can see, you could leave your rock like this. Honestly, I think this looks pretty cool. If I was going to leave it like this, I would probably do a green border on this side and a red border on this side, which I might end up doing anyways, but we are still going to come back in and add these fun little designs in here because I want to. So we're going to do similar style to this, except we're going to do the full thing on the inside. So we're going to have it change right at that stripe as well. So I'm going to go right here on my Y. I'm going to pull right into that red. The first color is easier because you can actually just like pull it right into that color. And the J here, like that. And I am still going to touch this. It's still bulging. I kind of got carried away here. It's funny, even this red stripe is going to need a second coat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that little outline that I was talking about. Do the same style thing. I'm going to do this kind of sketch style, just doing little hashes. Hash, 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 and slowly rotating my rock all the way around. And we'll do the same thing with the green on the other side. This just gives it a slight finish all the way around like that. Let's go ahead and do our green outline like that too, and then we'll come in two-tone Joy Rock. Is that what I'm going to call that? I always have a hard time naming these sometimes. I feel like they tend to be the same thing. All right. So there we go. We've got our two-tone. Now we're just going to follow the exact same stripe to create the bottom part of our design. So just continue that on down into the Y. And I'm actually going to create the Y. It's going to come into one like that. The O, we're just going to pull two lines like that. And then the J is going to just kind of come down in one line as well. And then we're going to add our little holly lines to that. You could, again, just leave it with the stripes if you prefer. Like if that's easier for you, if you don't want to try to get in here with these little lines, or you have shaky hands. Okay, we're just going to come in on either side. And you could do the two-tone one like this with red and white as well. So this is kind of just two different options, very similar designs, but you can take it, you know, two different ways. Okay, and I am going to have to do a second coat on those stripes. That's why I didn't do the full design on them right away. I think it'd be easier to kind of lay it down on top. The stripe first. Okay. And then I am going to have them going the opposite direction here. So I'll bring this up close so you can see in a moment. I know I'm zoomed in, but I know it's easier to see. Sometimes my hand is in the way when I'm doing super details like that. So see the O, how it goes up and then down, kind of tilted to the side there. So you can see that pretty good, I think. Okay, same thing on the J. Just the hardest process of these is just giving yourself the dry time in between. I think these would be great in white and red and green and white. Oh, I love that. Love when something comes together because it looks way better than my doodle. Okay. So now once you've got this on, like I said, if you need to come back and do any touching up, I see like right here, my colors didn't completely come together there. That edge of that Y, I can clean that up with the green. It's funny because this almost gives it a 3D look that we did this layering of the red, and I don't hate that. It's just weird because it doesn't do that quite on the O the same way. So once it's dry, let's see, I'm going to show you. So like here on the green, I'm going to come here and see how we have that little kind of hiccup there, and this line isn't completely straight. So I'm just going to come right there and get rid of that bump. Fix that line. When it dries, it'll be great. Got a little bump on the inside of that O there. Okay. So just take your time. I feel like I actually need a little bit of red in that spot. You know, get up nice and close every once in a while. You know, I try to get as many of these little details while I'm live, when I see these things that I touch up. But sometimes I see it once I'm off the live when I'm going. Once everything dries, sometimes you'll catch just little itty bitty. Oops, sorry. I'm so close, I'm actually hitting the camera. See up here, I think I'm going to do just like a little bit more red with the big one. It's just not completely solid. I'll kind of blend that in. There we go. Just so that gets a little bit more vibrant in the back. If I were to do this one again, I would have. It's funny because one of y'all, I don't know if you're still here, I could scroll up. I think it was it Brenda or Diane? Somebody mentioned, hey, if you base coat it white, this in hindsight would have been better to do the white because you would have had a more flat background if it was white first. It's also why I tend to usually buy the white rocks. It just makes your life so much easier. But there we go. All right. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed these rocks. I hope you're able to finish a few of them up. I obviously will come back and I will edit this down and make the pictures and whatever. Find us over on Facebook to share your finished rocks when I share it. And you can even share them on the wall here now on YouTube. There's like a place where you can actually post your rocks as well. It's funny, I'm covered in paint today. I don't even know how I got so much paint on me. Look at all this. Whoop, all up, man. All right. I'm hoping a bit rough. Well, take your time. If they don't turn out, you do not have to share them if you don't feel comfortable sharing them. Or if you have to go back and kind of give it another go, that's okay as well. I didn't do my black outline on this. I was going to do a black outline on this. I'm looking at it and it's like, why does this not look finished? It's because I didn't do my outlines. I'm just going to do the same thing, this black sketch all the way around, just to tighten up that edge. Just gives it a more finished look to have an edge to it. I think it does, at least. So, like you said, you do have the black to work with this one. So you can kind of touch up and go back in again if you need to. I see that question mark. I don't know what that was to. Sorry. There's like a little bit more of a delay than I like on YouTube. That's the only thing that I would say. I did Joy in green, outlined in red. Should I fill it in or outline the inside? I'm not following. All right, and did the green. So you did Joy. So were you doing this Joy, like a solid? Fill it in or outline the inside. I'm not following the question. I'm sorry. I'm missing something there. But try to re-clarify. I'll hang out a second. I love to answer your question, but I really don't quite understand what you're asking. Fill in or outline the inside. More like the white one. Okay, so you did a solid green with a red outline. So you could do green on top of the red with the designs if you wanted to. Or you could do the white on the side in outlining the inside too. You're outlining the inside too. Like inside the O. Joy in green, outlined in red. I would outline the inside too, if that's what you're saying. Like, so if you had Joy written in red and you were outlining it in green all the way around, I would definitely just do an outline on the inside, but I would keep it filled in if it's on a white rock. I would keep the inside of the O, the base coat color, but I would still outline it if you're outlining the outside. I hope that makes sense. And I'm not sure if that's what you mean. I would play around with it. If you hate it, that's the best thing is you could always just, the best base coat to cover a rock you don't love is black. And that's a good little tip for anybody. If you ever finish a rock and you just don't like it, get black acrylic paint, cover the whole thing in black and do a whole new design. All right, guys. Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad that I answered your question. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I will be back live again in 2 weeks. I will get these ones edited down and shared sometime tomorrow. I'll probably share a picture over on Facebook where people can go watch the live replay, where you guys can share, if you feel comfortable sharing the ones that you painted as well. Gotta unclip you so I can get to my end button here. You guys have a wonderful next couple of weeks. Bye-bye.